All right, music fans, welcome back. It is Dave. It is the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and yours truly right here. All right, I'm going to talk about Chicago. Getting reports from some of the folks who are on my Facebook and Twitter pages that apparently uh, people are walking out of some of these Chicago shows frustrated by a couple of things. Number one, it's a little bit presumptuous to think most Chicago fans are going to hang out for all of Chicago too. You're performing an album from start to finish. Look, I don't deny how great the album is, and it was an anniversary of that album actually last year. But they're out there performing it this year in its entirety with this new guy, Neil Donnell, having to sing a bunch of tunes from it. And quite honestly, it's not working for a lot of folks. Now, in a video, I was sticking up for Journey because they were playing a few deep tracks, but this isn't just a few deep tracks. And this is one after another. For folks who are showing up to think maybe, they'll play a couple tunes from Chicago 2, and then they'll go into a tune that I know, and so forth. And by the way, here's a band with a rich legacy of deep tracks that they could sprinkle throughout the show. But to do this whole album, folks, this isn't Dark Side of the Moon. I'm sorry. It's not Boston's first album. It's Chicago 2. And artistically speaking, it's a great record, but it just doesn't warrant a start to finish thing. Now, I agree with the soundstage thing that they did with Jeff Coffey when he was in the band, doing the whole album from start to finish and billing it as such. But when you're paired up with REO Speedwagon, who's churning out really hit after hit, and when they do a deep track, people are probably happy because REO had a lot of songs that were just rock mainstream hits, whereas Chicago was an AM radio band for a number of years. I mean, you weren't hearing Riding the Storm Out on AM radio. You were hearing Old Days on AM radio. So it's a different audience here a little bit, and the context is kind of screwed up. Now you could say, well, Chicago 2, that's an FM radio album. Sure, but is it good enough to play start to finish when it's not even the anniversary of that album anymore, right? I mean, haven't we passed it? Hasn't it gone past? Or it might have been, it was in 1968, because then that would work. But the point is, even if it is, it's still presumptuous to think you're going to play that album from start to finish and keep everybody in their seats content and happy. The other big issue, if you want to call it the elephant in the auditorium, is the singing of Neil Donnell. I'm hearing people say he's now out of tune. Sometimes his pacing is wrong for these songs. He's awkward up there because sometimes he's not playing any instruments and he doesn't know where to stand, or even where he's standing it looks kind of weird. And even Davy Jones, when he was in the Monkees, he constantly had like a tambourine or some maracas or something. Give him something to do. I know he breaks out the acoustic guitar for If You Leave Me Now, but I've been told that guitar might not even be plugged in. I don't know. I think Keith Howland is playing most of it. If, God forbid, some of it might even be on a track. I can't confirm that, but I've been told that they might be using some enhancements out there to try to get this music across, because it's a strenuous night to play this music from start to finish, and the older guys in this group are not spring chickens anymore, and like I said, it's a tough go. So, if you're going to go see REO in Chicago, I hear REO is knocking it out of the park. I think Kevin Cronin at times is a little hard to hear. I think his voice has gotten a little softer and a little quieter. All I would say is just beef up the microphone and let Kevin kind of belted out, and I think he could still probably manage most of the time. His voice has changed like so many rockers. His has not gotten deeper, it's gotten lighter and higher for some reason. I don't know, ravages of time, ravages of touring. I don't know anything about that really because I've never done either. But I guess REO is still the better of the two bands on this ticket. So that's my report about Chicago. Neil Donnell, I really think they need to start over at the end of this tour. If they're going to continue, they need to just find a guy who can play bass guitar and who can sing like Jeff Coffey. When they lost Jeff, they totally lost a great guy, and they had a great thing going there. And I don't know what they did to Jeff Coffey, but he's not in the band anymore. All right, done. See you soon, everybody.